All right, shalom, boys. Here, welcome to the covenant. Well, over here, got back from a beautiful tabernacles, and my son is washing a minivan. It's, real dirty. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you going back and forth through these roads, whatever. It get dirty, so you got to clean it up, take care of it. And I had to also change out a spark plug and a coil head. I don't know what them things is called, but it sits on top of the spark plug. It was fairly easy to change it out. But, what I wanted to talk about was, water bills. And I'm noticing, because I'm from New York City, and, I watch a lot of testimonies and a lot of things going on, particularly in New York City, because, naturally that's where I'm from. And it's amazing to see, the evolution of New York, as well as its pricing. I think Miami became the first state that surpassed New York. I believe recently I saw a report of the highest cost of living. And what I'm noticing is a lot of people, they're moving out of New York for various reasons. For one reason in particular is all the bills. And I'm going to focus on the water bill only. You're having people being foreclosed on in their homes, as well as their water being shut off, because they cannot afford the increase in water, the cost of water, because water ain't free. To get that stuff pumped into the city, the infrastructure, I've been watching the BM1 project that they plan on doing a vast, or they're in the process of doing a multi-billion-dollar system to get water from upstate New York down into New York City. It's a massive pipe that they're building. But all that costs money. And these data centers, they use a lot of two things: water and energy. And so not only do you have your electric bills going up, but you have your water bills going up. So people are getting water bills that are literally making them homeless. You can't live in a house without water. You can't live on a piece of land without water, without access to clean water. And we've been talking about this for years. People cannot afford to pay their water bills. And I'm seeing the testimonies, I'm seeing the mainstream news reports of people getting foreclosed on in Bed-Stuy, from Bed-Stuy to Brownsville, because they cannot pay their water bills. You're getting people that can't pay their water bills, even in rural companies and rural areas. And this is why it's so important to have access to your own well. Because when you have your own water, and then in addition to that, which I'm going to accomplish, is the ability to run that well off of solar, so that system is totally off grid. At this point in time, even if the power went out, I have a way in which I can still run my well pump and get all of the water I need out of it, but it's even going to be better when I set it up with solar. So we've been saying this for years. When you move on a piece of land, make sure you have a well. Make sure you have a water well, because, hey, not only we can go into the problems with all of the carcinogens and all of the plastics and the forever chemicals and all that stuff that's in the municipal water supply that people drink. I think I saw out in L.A. that they literally have a system where, you're drinking shit. You're drinking shit. Now, people are like, oh, that's not true. Listen. These are the kind of conversations that you get into with people that literally don't want to accept the reality in which they're living in. It's like Soylent Green. Soylent Green was, they told them, hey, you're eating people. And they didn't want to believe it, because that's all they had to eat. They had no other choice. So it's just like this cognitive dissonance, this this Stockholm syndrome, that people just don't want to accept the reality of the system and the situation that they're in. But it's affecting them. It's having real world effects in terms of health and as well as economics now. Make sure that you have a well. You know, for the folks that's in the city, they ain't leaving the city. They're not going to make the you know, especially now. I mean, it's like obvious. I mean, it's so obvious they're being affected. They'd rather be homeless and live in a shelter than attempt to live a different life. Or go down a different path. It's amazing how they will choose the pain and suffering of being evicted, not being able to eat, being unemployed, living in their car, before they would choose or even think about a different kind of life. It's amazing. It really is amazing, but this is the time that we're living in. This is what's going on. But for those who are in the know, and I've spoken to people that are looking to, you know, purchase, you know, land, and I always say, you know, if you can, I would recommend highly, make sure that it has a well on it, because at least all you can do is just get it tested and then go ahead and throw a well or throw a pump down that thing. And you know, hey, you know, it's better to go that way, because to drill a new well in this day and age, you're talking about $20,000. I remember a time when you can get a well drilled for like $5,000-$6,000. Now they're talking $20,000. That's just the hole in the ground. That's not the irrigation, the lines that you have to run from that well. See, people think it's just a hole in the ground. No, you got to run lines from there to here to the home to over there. There's a. I had to dig a line to that cabin over there, as well as electrical. So it has electrical. It has water. And it you see, and I had to go from there to all the way over there. So people don't think about the notion that, you know, once you have a well dug, you have to pipe that water to wherever structures that you want to have water. You have to pipe that water to all of the faucets and the hydrants and stuff. I have 5 different hydrants that I have on the land, and 6 different access points in which I can access that water. No, 7. So you see, you know, not only is it good to have the well, but you also have to think about how you're going to pipe that water to all of the different facilities in which you need in order to access that water. People don't think on these levels. They just think it's an additional cost in the thousands of dollars if you do not know how to do it yourself. It's very much unfortunate to see what's going on. Because, see, again, you know, I say all the time, I've been saying it for years, we don't have a water bill. We can use as much water, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, I just now had a client recently, even in water. And this is why location is so important. You know, it's been a drought the past like 2-3 weeks ago. It was a drought, and one of my clients called me up and canceled the project because their well ran dry. Ran dry. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's unheard of, you know what I'm saying? It depends on where you are, but, you know, if you're in a valley as opposed to if you're on a mountaintop, you know, I mean, it's all of those things that you have to take into consideration. Is it 110 feet deep, or, you know, where can you get to water at? I can get to water at 26 feet. 26 feet it takes me to get to a water level. Joel, we don't want to get sprayed now, okay? But these are the different factors that you have to take into consideration when getting a well drilling a well, location. It's a lot that's involved. And so you want to focus on these things right here. Because good, clean water, I'm telling you, man, we bring our own drinking water to the feast days because it's just so good. You know what I'm saying? It just tastes so good. And so this is how we do it. This is how you get it done. You gotta have a well. You gotta be able to access that water. You have to make sure that you can consistently access that water. You want to make sure that the water that you're getting out the ground is clean water. Because just because you may have a water well, that doesn't mean that it is giving you clean water. Stop that, Joel. Joel, stop that.
You might keep the pipe waterly, and then we can't use that car anymore.
You know? See, you know exactly why, huh? All right, you can turn the water off now.
So you can turn the water off.
You can turn the water off now, son. I said turn the water off. Children, huh? You gotta get them.